Are we live? We are live. Welcome, everybody. Eagle Run 2-3 here. I we've been talking just like back behind the scenes here, getting ready for the show. Oh my goodness, guys. This is going to be an amazing show. I'm glad you guys are here. Looks like we got some people in the comments. Um, we are streaming in 3 places right now. We are on Facebook. I quit doing Twitter. We weren't getting anyone on Twitter. If you want me to bring Twitter back, I'll bring it back. But right now we're on Facebook. Eagle Reloads, my reloading channel, and the main channel, Eagle Run 2-3. So welcome everybody to the show. A couple of things here before we get started and we get to our special guest. Number one, if you go back like 3 or 4 videos, we have crossed over. We've crossed over 7,000 subscribers, and it came really quickly. And we are doing a big giveaway, and it's super cool because it's this Kaizen foam that goes into this rigid from Home Depot like tool case, and then it's this tool foam that you cut it out, and you're going to cut it out right around your guns, and they're going to fit in there perfectly, and it looks super awesome. Go back and check that video, and then I believe tomorrow I'll be filming the making of my case as like an instructional part of this giveaway as well. And then I'll tell you guys where I got all the components. You can make this case for like $7,500, something like that. It's a really cool case, completely custom to whatever you've got. Let's hop on the comments over here. Alex Duke, what is up, buddy? He says, howdy. We've got AR American. I like the username. All right, good deal. Mr. Mark Neely. Hey, reloading from the hot pot. Welcome, sir. Welcome. And earlier we had MC. MC is here. I need to make sure I've got my moderator set up. I'll do that here in just a second. And then Brandy, I don't know if you're still here. Brandy was here earlier. And our good buddy C-Dub was here earlier. He'll probably be back. Okay, so we ran through just our couple of early comments here. We're going to have lots to talk about. I hope you're the only 10 I see. Alex, I hope we have some guys. Put your comments in. We're going to be going through them. We're going to be answering a lot of questions. Well, maybe not so much me answering a lot of questions, but we're going to be discussing a lot. And then last thing here, because we've grown so quickly, and some of the views on the videos are just astronomical over my normal couple hundred views here and there. Because they're so big, I've got a lot of people in the comments that are a little upset at me because they think that I'm pandering or that I'm complicit or all of these types of things about the videos that I'm making. I'm fear mongering, all these sorts of things, and that is not. Those of you guys that have been here for a while, you guys know that's not me. I'm not clickbaiting people or like any of that kind of stuff. Like I'm just trying to spread the information and have a intelligent conversation, because when I see us as like smart, intelligent individuals reading with common sense these rules and laws. They're not rules, they're laws. I mean, they're not laws, they're rules. When I see us reading these and we're trying to make sense of things that were written by people who didn't write it with common sense, it's just so much to process. I mean, that's why I'm making these videos. That's why we have tonight's guest on as a live stream. All of that is there. Okay, so MC shared this is the link to the giveaway video. Thank you very much. Daniel Simpson, what is up, buddy? AR American, I got that name from my first channel that YouTube took down at 18,000 subs. That is an understandable story. In fact, I'll say it again. I said it in my last video. The way that we're growing right now, I'm not going to be at all surprised if we get a strike very soon. I feel it coming. Every time I grow and the channel takes off, boom, there goes YouTube with a strike. And then I can't upload. And so make sure you're following Eagle Reloads. That's somewhat of a backup account, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so let me tell you real quick who I've got here. The name of his Instagram is Mad Minute Tactical. And he goes by Tackett. He's a fantastic guy. We have only text for the last 3 or 4 days. This is our first time meeting, and we've already been chatting and trying to figure out how some of this stuff is going to go down. And I'm super excited to have him on. Are your audio working? Technical
You got me now?
difficulties.
Oh
There
man,
you are.
that's embarrassing.
No worries, no worries. So welcome to the show, man. Why don't you take a second, tell us about your you're not really on YouTube, you're mostly on Instagram, right? Focusing on Instagram.
Yeah, I've just been growing an Instagram page. Honestly, it just came out of I had a lot of buddies that had gun questions and would ask me a lot of gun questions. And after I left my fire department job, I started managing a class 3 store. And so I just started making Instagram videos because it was easier to send information to them, and it started getting followers. So I just stuck with it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fun. It's fun to I think it's fun to make the content. I don't always get to be super creative in my normal job, and this allows you to like do some creative stuff that like just outside of the normal. I mean, that's why it's
That's
fun
exactly
to
what it
me.
is. I before I started editing videos, I had like adult coloring books. It's just something to keep your brain going at night, you know?
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Making sure that we've got our moderators set up appropriately here. I don't think I can do that on StreamYard. I think I have to. No, I can only put you in timeout or block you. So those are my only two choices.
I vote timeout. Timeout for everyone.
Give you guys timeouts. Okay, so focusing on Instagram, if there's a way to get someone to put a link to it in the chat, that'd be awesome. If not, I will make sure that it is in the description of this video. I'll have links to his Instagram. I know that when I did a little promo post earlier, we had some links to your stuff, and I've gone through and watched it. And when someone actually sent me, one of my subscribers sent me your video in a direct message, and they said, check this out, because this was after I made my first video, just kind of talking about the rules. I don't want to say it wrong. The rules. And they showed me your video
of the day.
And I'm like, holy cow, this guy totally gets what I'm talking about. Like, this is a bigger deal than just the fact that, oh, it's a stock of pistol brace. So why don't you talk a little bit about this form? You want to jump right in with Form 1, Form 3, Form 4?
Yeah, all right. So I'll kind of explain what the ATF is saying that you should do, and then I'll poke the first hole in it, and we can move on from there. So
all right, excellent.
The ATF they're just saying that they reclassified the pistol brace as a butt stock, which just means that there's no loophole for you to fall through with the pistol brace. So you own a butt stock now, either way that you look at it, as soon as the letter is officially published in the registrar. So the ATF is saying that they will overlook the fact that you have this rifle and allow you to file a Form 1. And that Form 1 is you requesting permission to manufacture that rifle. The first pitfall that you fall into here is you cannot have any part of that would make it a short-barreled rifle while you wait for permission to make it. So the immediate thing that they ask you to do puts you in violation of the NFA. And they're just simply saying that they won't prosecute. But they also just said that the pistol brace was okay and changed their mind. So I have a trust issue that they're not going to change their mind again. So that's kind of like that's
level
issue
one
number
right there.
one. Yeah, that's issue number one.
Yeah.
So do you want to keep going through issues? We can just try to cover the icing on the cake real quick.
Well, that first part right there, I mean, that was the topic of the first video. I think that it was literally titled "We're All Felons Now," because we're all felons now according to that rule. And I get rule law. That's fine, but this is the world we're living in now. I'm hoping that cooler heads can prevail and that there's court cases, and we hope all of these things are coming.
Yeah,
but as it sets, that's what it is, and I'm not fear mongering. That's what it is. We're just talking about.
Okay, so I'm glad that you said the fear mongering thing, because I got a ton of messages and comments and stuff that everybody was saying the same thing. There was also a ton of people saying like, this is just free time to get your SBRs registered. I made that video because like within days of this getting out on the internet, the amount of phone calls that we were getting at the shop and people coming into the shop trying to figure out how to navigate the waters with their rifles. We had people trying to sell them to us. So we as a shop immediately had to make like legal decisions on what we could do and how we could explain this to people.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so I literally made the video in between talking to customers. I just walked back into the storeroom where all the suppressors are and set my phone up on a water heater and tried to explain it. So like maybe I have a ton of customers that follow me on Instagram, and it was like, hey, this will just answer the questions before you even come in here, you know? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous to me that the ATF can just issue a letter like that and just cause panic. Like,
I've heard a lot of people talking about the types of pictures that they want to submit. This has been a good little meme.
yeah,
There's been some good memes on Twitter about this. Blurry pictures, pictures of Sasquatch. I've seen chupacabras. I've seen
yeah.
all sorts of fun stuff. What would happen if I were to submit my picture as a picture of the moon?
I would just assume that it would be an automatic denial and they would take enforcement action. So that's just my like best guess. Like,
Isn't that crazy? That's what I think. That's probably what I thought they were. That's what I thought you were going to say.
I feel like it's good to say, like, I'm not an attorney. This is just like I manage NFA paperwork for a living. But to my understanding, when the Biden administration took office, they changed the phrasing, or the way that the phrasing was interpreted around the 4437 form, 73 form, which is not what we're talking about right now. That's like the secondary form that you fill out when you buy a gun. And they basically said that, like, when I'm filling it out, if I make a clerical error of a serial number or your address, anything like that,
I've heard about this.
There's no such thing as an accident. Everything is malicious intent to cover where the firearm was transferred to. So there was a 500% increase in revocation of FFLs just because of that, just from a max amount of clerical errors. So FFLs as a whole are under fire right now, and nobody really knows that. Like, you don't have to make guns illegal, just make us illegal, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the legal gateway for the people to get firearms. If you shut that down or give them a hard time or kick them out, or, I mean, you can start limiting access to firearms pretty easily.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did. So it's already around us. It went from probably 10 gun stores that we competed with to like 2. That's not by accident. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so yeah, I don't. Oh wait, is that what he meant by a moon picture? Oh man. Okay. I guess. Why did I think it was like an actual picture of the moon?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. I got it when I saw it.
Oh, okay. You're ahead of me on that one. I thought it was like, I'm like, oh yeah, let's get some pictures of the moon up there. Oh, what an idiot. Okay, I'm an idiot. Okay, so let's keep going on to Form 3 and the Form 4, and then we're going to talk about the conspiracy theory next.
All right. So the second question that I got a lot at the shop was guys saying, like, all right, so the first issue with your Form 1 is that you can't be in possession of the upper and the buttstock at the same time while you wait for your paperwork to clear. So the second question that people asked me at the shop was, all right, well, what if I give it to you to hold while I wait for my Form 1, right? That's what we do with suppressors and other things, is you come in and then you pay for it and you wait. I can't receive the item because I have to receive the item on what's called a Form 3. So a Form 3 allows NFA items to be transferred between SOTs and 07 FFLs. Since you as a private person put that pistol brace on the gun or bought it assembled with the pistol brace, it has been illegally manufactured as an SBR that you're in possession of. So for me to get approval from the ATF on a Form 3, they're not gonna approve that, right? You're not a 07 FFL.
So you have to have the Form 1 done before you can do the Form 3 transfer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I can't take the firearm from you and hold on to it. So even though I can sell you a belt-fed machine gun, right? Even though as a shop I can manufacture machine guns, I could call up HK today and buy an MP7 and have it in the shop. I can't take possession of your pistol braced rifle. There's no legal possessor of this rifle while the ATF waits to give you permission. So the only thing protecting you from a mandatory minimum sentencing of 10 years is that the ATF pinky promises not to prosecute you. So there's problem.
That's a great way to word it.
There's problem number 2 is that it's once again, this is pinky promise number 2, that they're not going to prosecute you. And this is also assuming every gun store out there that has pistol brace rifles. What are they supposed to do? Do they Form 1 those? Yeah, right. Does the shop Form 1 those? Are they short barreled rifles now? What if that shop owns 50 Daniel Defense Mark 18s with pistol braces on them and they're not an 07 FFL? They can't make them SBRs now. So like, what does that shop do?
So, oh my goodness. I didn't think about that either.
Yeah, it's just rat trap after rat trap after rat trap. And it's rat traps for the FFLs, the distributors, What about distributors, right? There's just warehouses full of these things, right? What about gunsmiths? And I don't know exactly what
Because
kind
they
of
have them in
FFL
their
gunsmiths have,
possession.
but yeah, and I don't know exactly how the FFL stuff works for a gunsmith, so maybe they're good, but it would seem like they're not. It would seem like you couldn't just take an M60 to anybody.
If they're, so from what I understand, if they're a gunsmith and an FFL, their rules are different.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
there was at the local range, they're a gunsmith and an FFL, and I was having him look at something on my on my one of my rifles, and it was an 80%er with no serial number, and he was like, I can look at this with you, but I can't really have it in my possession. He's like, I'm an FFL, I don't even want your 80%.
Yeah,
like I'll look at it with you, but I'm not touching it.
Yeah, I turn them away at the shop too. I have friends that conceal carry 80% lowers, and I explain all the time, like, you're just asking for trouble, man. You're asking for trouble.
Okay, so let's see a couple of we're gonna go to a Form 4 here in just a second. So let's look at, what about a pistol braced pistol? Ooh.
What are you defining as a pistol?
That's a great 2022, 2023 question. What is a pistol?
Because if you read some of the phrasing in this, the ATF doesn't explain it well either. And this is completely ignoring the fact that even before this, if I put a vertical foregrip on a Glock 19, that was a short-barreled rifle, right? So the definition of pistol is confusing before this. Now, if it has any optic that has eye relief that would be used on a rifle optic, it's a rifle. So like, what about like when I have an LPVO with a canted red dot? That red dot has an eye relief to it, right? It's a foot long eye relief, but it's an eye relief, and I'm using it on a rifle. So can I have a Holosun red dot on my pistol, or is my pistol a short-barreled rifle? The ramifications of the way that they wrote this is huge, and that's why I'm irritated at the gun industry, because no one's addressing it. And it addresses every major popular theme across the industry. Everybody wants optic cut pistols. Everybody's moving towards these little pistol brace rigs that you can put your gun in. It affects everything.
Yeah. Man.
Like what?
My wheels are just turning as I'm sitting here listening to you, because this is direct crosshairs. Like it's not some sort of, it may be rolled out. Okay, we got to talk about a Form 4 before we get into the conspiracy theory here, because okay, all right. So the Form 4 is the tax stamp, right?
Yeah. Okay. So here's an easy way to understand this. So a Form 1 is you requesting permission to manufacture something, right?
Okay.
A Form 3 is you requesting permission to transfer something. A Form 4 is you requesting permission to possess something. So a Form 4 means that something has already been manufactured legally. It's possessed by an entity that can legally possess it, and you're requesting permission to take it home with you. If at any point you lose your Form 4, like say that we didn't have cell phones and it was only paper, if your cat ate your Form 4, you're a felon now. Like if you don't have that paper, you're a felon. So all a Form 4 is your license to own, and that's what you wait for to clear, because supposedly there's 16 people that do all the Form 4s. Just we'll get into that too, but
okay. So
guess how many do Form 1s?
It must be less.
Eight.
So like someone probably knows all their names. There's that few of them. Like,
yeah, probably everybody in the ATF. They're like, man, Steve, Joe, Bill, they're doing a terrible job, man. I'm getting a lot of heat because of that. I honestly do not know if that's just an internet like conspiracy like rumor, but I've heard that for years, that it's 16 and 8. So
I mean,
I say it to customers every day. Like, you want to know why this takes forever? Because like there's less than a high school basketball team doing this paperwork for 2.5 million people a year.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I went and bought a suppressor this summer, and so I filled out a Form 3. I don't even know, right?
No, so you went in, you filled out a Form 4. Yeah.
I don't need the 3.
No, the 3.
They had it.
The 3 is what put the suppressor in the store. So the store holds the item on a Form 3. Like if I have an item and I don't have a Form 3, then I'm screwed, because I have an item I'm not supposed to have then.
Okay, so they had it in stock. I filled out the paperwork. I did a trust. I don't know if that was a good idea or not. Someone said, I've heard every different direction. But
the trust was a legal loophole that people used for years to get around. If you lived in an area where like your sheriff didn't want you to own this stuff, you could have a trust and you could get around some stuff. But so this is an actual thing that happened because the ATF is so good at their job. There was a convicted felon, and I don't remember exactly the crime he committed. He like robbed a bank, and it was something like that. It was like egregious, whatever he did. But he had a machine gun or a couple machine guns. And when they looked into it, the guy had a trust set up, and the ATF had legally transferred him these machine guns. Like he was not in possession of anything illegal. What he did was illegal, but the ATF had legally let this like convicted multi-time felon own like a couple machine guns because of the trust system. So the trust system got like eviscerated after that happened. So it doesn't really do.
Okay, so the next time I won't do a trust then.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I thought I was being smart.
Someone is gonna hop in the comments and like blow me up that the trust is the way to go, but I just do individual.
Your opinion is just do it in your name. Okay.
Do individual. All right. Yeah.
Okay. So then now I'm waiting on, that was in June. So now I'm waiting, and they're saying any day now, although it's probably not going to happen any day now because this, but any day now I was thinking January, February. It's kind of the ballpark they gave me. We're at the end of January. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm hoping to get it at some point. And then I'll have to keep my 4 with my suppressor.
Yeah. Okay. And now that we're in the digital age, it's too easy. You'll get it emailed to you from the ATF in a PDF. Yeah. So you just hold on to that. So I would still keep a copper of paper somewhere so that like they can't ever like delete a record. Conspiracies.
All right. So before we jump on conspiracies, let's make sure we've got everybody's here in the comments. Here's what I reckon. Wait, did he not? Wait, Nicholas Preston's back. What's up, brother? He said, here's what I'd recommend if it means anything. And then he doesn't say anything. I think it was on purpose. The number 12, the 16. So what if an AR pistol is over? Oh, the overall length. What about that?
Yeah, so I didn't even look into the overall length thing because that's like the length of pull part. It's like some weird subjective measurement. Are we measuring from the end of the buttstock, right? Because there's been arguments by the ATF before that it was like if the buttstock could extend and like. So I didn't look into it. I didn't look into. I think it said if it can extend
to the center of the buttstock at its fully extended position, I think is what it says.
Yeah, like what does that even mean? What's the center?
When I read that, I was
calibers out? Like
right, yeah.
So honestly, I don't. AR American. I don't have a good answer, man. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, piece of plastic with Velcro equals registration. America. Okay, so POF 12-inch 308 AR with a factory pistol brace. Now POF sells them as SBRs.
Yep. And why are you going to go through the process to have this like floppy, not a buttstock in your shoulder? Just
if it's an SBR, then you're just going to put a normal stock on it.
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
Okay, so this is exactly my point. The ATF is saying Form 1 it. But you can't be in possession of it while you Form 1 it. So what are you supposed to do? If the ATF processes 2.5 million of these a year, and they're expecting 40 million, and we haven't gotten into the idea of people that own these and don't know that they're illegal yet. If they process 40 million of these, how long does that take? And for the amount of time that you have to think about political wins in the country and the pressure from major politicians into the ATF, right? Because all it takes is, I know that there's probably plenty of Trump fans in this, and like I voted for the man twice both, but this all comes back from Trump leaning pressure on the ATF to get rid of the bump stock. It was a mistake because it opened the door for us to just lean pressure on the ATF and then to do this. And that's all that's happened with the Biden administration. And all they have to do once we submit our paperwork with photographic evidence, all of our information and our fingerprints, we're giving them the entire search warrant and then just hoping that they don't come after us for it. I know that everybody's going to jump in this and say it's fear mongering again, but the Biden administration has flat out said, if you didn't vote Democrat, you are a clear and present threat to American democracy. Like that is the verbiage that we use to justify shock and awe bombing Iraq. And that was used against us as American citizens. So I don't have a whole lot of faith that the Biden administration wouldn't lean on the ATF once they had all this information. So that's my concern with it, is like you're asking a big trust of faith from me to prove to you that I should be sentenced to 10 years, and just hope that you don't.
So, Mike, I made a mistake and did not bring my copy out to my shop here. It's on my desk. I should have brought a copy of it. You're gonna have to tell us what that says, Mike, because I don't have. I'm a bad YouTuber. I'm sorry. I should have had it with me. POF have fall under their new definition. Okay, we're talking about trust there, and Angry Sarge, buddy of mine, friend of the channel, he's 100% correct. It's frustrating. It's frustrating ridiculousness. Yes, it's a bunch of ridiculousness, but it's just frustrating that like mentally we should not have to devote an ounce of energy to our possession of a firearm. That's what shall not be infringed means. Like, we should not have to. This conversation should not even have to be happening. There should be zero effort put into this.
The founding fathers, when they wrote that, these men owned warships. I cannot stand the musket argument. I'm sure everybody in this can't stand the musket argument, but they did not. They obviously could not look forward and see M1 Abrams and JDAMs and thermobaric bombs and nuclear weapons and
F-15s.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of military equipment that the military has that's far outside of the reach of the public. Even if they were to make F-15s legal, who could buy them? You know,
right?
Leave my 10.5-inch gun alone. The only thing that I've done is taken a round that was designed to go down a 20-inch barrel and decreased its lethality. I've made a worse weapon. Like a 10.5-inch gun is just more portable and fun, but I'm screwing with how that 5.56 round works in a negative way. It's less scary.
No, and here, that's what you're saying. It's not necessarily overtly concealable either, which is like, but okay, so two things that I think both of these I'm going to give credit to MC for saying, and MC is my buddy right here who says rules make as much sense as the clear swamp water. Exactly. So two things that I believe he said both of these things. Number one, when has a problem become better when you pay a $200 fee?
Yeah, and that's completely ignoring the reason it's $200.
Yeah,
like everybody's tracking. I guess, could we say it? I'll say it.
Yeah.
They were attempting to just ban the Thompson submachine gun as a whole. Like $200 is what a new car cost back then. Right. And they attempted in 1934. If you go back and read the congressional transcripts, they tried to apply that $200 stamp to a $5 JCPenney revolver and convince the public that they needed to do this because there was a great crime wave sweeping the country. Man, if that's not exactly where we're at right now, I don't know. The similarities, it's almost 100 years later. We could get into the whole fourth turning thing too. We are headed we're headed towards something.
So and again, we already said we're not trying to be fearmongers here, but I think people aren't realizing how deep this goes. It's so deep. One thing here. It looks like we've got several people here commenting. It's possible that I put a comment up on the screen that you can't see, and that's because we're streaming in 3 different locations, and that person might not be watching on the same way that you're watching, so you might be seeing it for the first time when I put it up on screen. Don't be confused about that. Okay, so he said, just a way. It's actually the fear mongering the other way, like, and then I'm the threat. All of a sudden, I'm the threat. Layman's terms, in turn in or destroy.
Yeah. There's no, because that's where you get into the surface area thing. What's surface area? The back of an MP5 without the pistol brace or any attachment on it, where you just have a sling point. That's much bigger than a buffer tube, right? This whole thing was very intentionally written super gray. Very intentionally.
And it's coming after the AR-15. Like, that was the intended target.
When you start talking about conspiracy theories or just like trying to think methodically through something, think about the mindset of the people that wrote what you're reading, right? Yeah. These are some of the highest paid. They have the nicest offices. Like, these people make a lot of money. They're not dumb. If it's phrased in a dumb way, it was intentional, right? These people make a lot of money to be very well-paid lawyers. It's not an accident. Like, the confusion of the everyday ATF officer is because they're just reading the same thing we're reading, going, what?
Right.
It's intentionally written this way.
So so that's your take on the question, that is, was it sinister in nature, or is it just bad governance?
I
That
think
was a position that I proposed in my last video. It's as a longtime conspiracy theorist, and now that we're in 2022, 2023, conspiracy theories virtually don't exist anymore. Like, almost everything has come true.
I have so much to say. I'm so sorry. I'm so excited for you to.
So it's like, it's like, I want to believe certain things, and then also I want to say the simplest answer is typically correct. So
Exactly.
it puts you in the crosshair here. I want to believe in the good of people, and I want to believe that the government has good intentions, but they've done nothing to prove that they have good intentions, or
Sure.
that they can actually govern anything.
So, okay. So I'm really glad you brought that up. So I don't think that any of this is malicious intent at all. I don't think any of it is malicious intent. Without going like too deep into anything, I worked for the military, and then I worked for a fire department. And I don't want to put any, I'm just going to leave it at that. But I watched the decay of those jobs while I was in them both. And you can ask any guy that's been in the military, law enforcement, fire department, EMS, any of that stuff over the last 10 years. The internal decay inside of those organizations makes them essentially non-functional. And all of that decay has trickled out of the federal government. The federal government is just non-functional, and the people that work at the highest levels of the ATF are just trapped in a political hailstorm where they have to do something. So they're trying to do their best, and anytime they write a rule, the entire firearms industry is kind of a smartass, and we make force reset triggers, and we make pistol braces, and like, so we're constantly shooting a hole in everything they do. So they released the proposed,
we're no
like,
dummies.
Right. Yeah. We have high paid attorneys too, right? So,
right.
So the before this rule, the previous proposed rule was that form, like a grading sheet that you would fill out, that like everything would fail. Yeah.
I think I had 9 points.
That was their attempt at, like, okay, guys, like, we have to do something. This is the best thing we can put together. And they put all this thought and effort into it, and it just immediately didn't work. So they scrapped that, and they just decided they're just going to make a legal jargon that leaves it up to the ATF officer, leaves it up to the court, leaves it up to the judge. They just passed the buck. That's all they did. So if this is where, like, some of the conspiracy of, like, if you live in California, you're super screwed with this because you're just illegal now. Like, your pistol that was cool is now a short-barreled rifle, so you can't possess it at all. Like, you can't go through a process to own it. And I don't think it can't be the only state that's like that. So
yeah,
I genuinely think that the highest levels of these, like, I think these people are very smart. I just think they're not thinking through any of this. I think they wrote this whole thing from a place of illiteracy with their own legislation. Like, the guys that write this stuff they don't do my paperwork all day. They have no idea, like, what the actual process of all this stuff is. They write a rule and they let it go. They don't know that people wait 1.5 years to get a car muffler. Like, Carl Maxim made car mufflers and suppressors at the same time. And the government decided that if I don't have one, you'll tax me. And for the other one, I have to pay a tax to own, or you'll come arrest me. And the same guy made the same thing. Like,
yeah. Here's the other thing that MC said. I said I'm giving him credit for saying 2 things. When I was talking about that constructive intent, which we're going to get to, it's on my list.
Yeah.
He said, this was his reply. I think he actually said this on a comment of the videos. He said, so if you can't have a 6 or an 8-inch barrel, but you have a 20-inch barrel and a saw.
They've tried stuff like that before.
Yeah.
And it's been shot down on the same, like, they've taken it to court and been like, so with like you're saying with intent, like, I just have a saw. Like, that makes me have intent.
Yeah, they are making it worse because it is actually more concealable without the pistol brace. So do you, if you're a disabled veteran, I think
I
you should
mean,
have said, "Do you get?" Is he saying you do get
yeah, I
one?
don't know. I would really doubt that. I would say if there's anybody that this administration hates more, it would be a disabled veteran, or just like an
Yeah.
ugly reminder of what they did.
So you've been touching on this. We might as well jump into it. What about all these people who aren't into this like we're discussing now? They haven't seen any videos. What about these
Sure.
people that don't know that they've had one for 10 years?
Okay, so I'll bite off two chunks with that. So there's the people that I learned a lesson when I started working at the gun store that I work at. The average guy that comes in to buy an AR or something like that, I always have my guns out to demo like my setup and kind of try to get people to spend a little bit more money, and that's my job.
Right.
People have no idea. Like the average guy that comes in a gun store, it's just your grandpa. He has absolutely no idea that a 10.5-inch barrel isn't an okay thing. So the amount of illegal short-barreled rifles that walk in the store is kind of amusing. If you go on Palmetto State Armory's website and just look at like go to the AR builder kits, they're all 7-inch, 10.5-inch.
Yeah.
There's very few that are 16-inch because nobody wants that. So
Right.
how many guys that are like their buddies have an AR, so they want an AR, went on Palmetto State's website, spent $450 and made themselves a felon. They have absolutely no idea they're a felon, but since this ruling is on Fox News, it's actually getting some like people are finding out about it. So now they're going to find out they're felons. So does that guy take a picture of a gun that's 10 years old that has a buttstock on it and send that to the ATF? I can't give legal advice.
Yeah.
But like that's another one of these issues. Like you've kind of thrown a net out there, and you're going to catch a bunch of like unintended people that genuinely didn't mean to break the law. I genuinely think that most people don't operate out of malice. Same with people at the ATF. I don't think they're operating out of malice. I think it's just confusion and illiteracy, and it's on both ends of the spectrum. And it's FFLs and the industry that's caught in the middle of it.
So okay, so if you don't think it will, okay. What about the 120 days thing? Do you really think that they thought they could process those in 120 days, or was that just a con job from the beginning?
It's
because that doesn't make any sense.
It's exactly what I saw in the military and in the fire department. Your chain of command, you can ask any veteran that was in the global war on terror at any point. The reason we lost Afghanistan and Iraq was because the chain of command cleans it up just a little bit for each person that it goes to. So the people that are driving the ship have absolutely no idea what's going on. The people that wrote this have no idea it takes a year and a half for this paperwork to process. They think it's a day trip to the DMV. They just write the legislation and move on and go to their 5-star restaurant and do whatever they're going to do in their life. They don't understand that 120 days is unfeasible. And if they do understand, then it's malicious intent.
MC, it might be that everybody is on the main Eagle Run channel, or maybe we're getting some people from Facebook. So if you want to switch over, that's totally fine. Up to you. If you're in there by yourself, it might not be fun to be chatting by yourself. You're only seeing your comments. I bet none of the SBRs were used in a crime. It's such a So the crime stats on SBRs are virtually non-existent. I mean, virtually non-existent.
And I'm willing to bet that the ones that are like 7-inch weirdo guns with no optics, and I can see that gun. I can see that crime gun. I've seen it on YouTube.
Yeah. And on the same, because I'm an 80% fan, I always take offense to the stats about the ghost gun stats, and they lump in the fact that somebody's filed off the serial number on their high point, and gets lumped in with me, who's out here crafting high quality guns for my own enjoyment, just because I like it, because I'm an adult and I'm not playing with Legos.
And once you can, like, again with that, you could just file a Form 1 and ask to make it, and then you could make a Claymore. Like, it's just totally legal. Seriously, totally legal. You can ask to make a destructive device. If you knew how to machine everything, you could ask the government to make a bazooka, and they would just be like, yeah, sure, your background check comes back. Have fun. Make a bazooka. It's crazy.
So Angry Sarge is a veteran as well.
Oh, awesome.
Good dude.
It was a good, I got it from the name. I see you out there. It was discreet, but I got it.
As a non-military guy, I miss some of those military details. I've actually learned a lot from people's screen names about like different people's have like they sneakily put their ranks and stuff in there in different ways.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that's a great name.
Yeah.
Braces
I like
were
all the old.
originally.
Yeah, go.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
You
I
have
was
the
gonna
old
say I
one?
like all the old military nicknames for stuff. Like we have active duty guys that come in the shop sometimes, and I like busting their balls, calling them like top or stuff they don't like.
Oh, yeah. I don't.
Right.
I wish I knew some of that stuff. I don't know those things.
Air pistol.
I only know the movie versions. So when they say an event of the adaptive equipment disabled, so realistically, we've kind of screwed the ADA people here.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of ran with this a little too far, and now the people who actually need it.
Yeah. We knew what we were doing though.
Well, sure. Like, but if there's a guy who really needs it, I feel bad that he can't have it. I guess.
Yeah, the SB Tactical, like someone came along and was like, that'd be great for guys in wheelchairs. And they were like, that's it. That's what we're going to say. Like,
we're running with this.
Yeah.
So MC, I believe he does HVAC stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
he says even in the trades, quality and oversight, all-time low.
It's hard to be good at your job when you spend all your time in an HR briefing. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, David missed us earlier. It's if you made it and you're going under this rule, it's a Form 1.
Yeah.
If you're walking into a shop and buying it, it's a Form 4.
And so historically, your Form 1's always been very fast, but we could get into the whole timeline of these too.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about that while I'm going through some of the comments here.
All right, so at the beginning of the year, the eForm system went live. In the ATF, my understanding was they were mandated 90-day turnarounds. That may not be true. They may have just promised 90-day turnarounds, but my understanding was they were told like you need, the whole point of this system is to speed it up.
Yeah.
It immediately was like 4 months, and now I haven't seen anything back in like a month. I'm looking.
Mine was e-file.
Yeah, most of my stuff is the guys are coming up around the 9-month mark right now, and I'm not.
I'm at 7 months on my e-file.
No, you got a while.
See, in June they told me look for it in January, February.
So. Yeah. So, and that's them just processing basically suppressor paperwork. So the Form 1 office is processed differently. There was a point this year where Form 1s were coming back in 2 weeks. It was awesome. You could turn in your suppressor paperwork to manufacture one in 2 weeks. You could do your short barrel rifle 2 weeks. Those days are gone. So.
Yeah, and also what's gone is the $44.99 has been wadded up and thrown into the trash bin that it deserved to be in.
Yeah, that thing was
although
retarded.
It was replaced with something entirely worse. Okay, David, I hope you're not in California. I don't. Let's not talk about California. David, I hope you're not in California. It doesn't sound like it is a crap state. With you're 100% correct. I just feel bad for people in California because
hey, it's the best thing about the United States, man. You can be middle class and you can move. I left the military, moved up to Virginia, and we had the tiniest, crappiest little apartment. Like chase your dream.
Chase your dream. Yeah, and 16-inch suppressed is no freaking fun.
Yeah, that's also. I mean, it's not really an argument to the ATF, but. I mean, so I'm disabled. I have a VA rating. Do I get to have my brace then? Well, I wonder what
you might need to look into that. Maybe you do.
How deep did the ATF go into disability ratings to figure out who gets to possess that?
Yeah,
that makes even less sense. If that's a true thing, that makes even less sense.
A couple months ago, there was a big debacle on my channel about forward assist because I usually don't put them on there whenever I'm making them. I just leave it open.
You gotta have a forward assist. You don't.
And so the latest, my Grendel build right here behind me, I bought an upper that is just a slick side, but it's a really cool upper, but it's a slick side.
Yeah.
And I don't think David's trolling me, but I had people trolling me about forward assist for a long time. The MP Sporter is the main one that people know about that doesn't have, it's a slick side. But if you're building your own AR, David, there's a lot of companies that don't have them. I got mine from AT3.
Yeah, even Arrow has some pretty nice stuff that's slick side.
And I have there is a promo code somewhere that I have for AT3. I don't have it handy to give it to you. Bought mine on PSA last year, and the ATF can suck it. Okay, or Flood.
Yeah.
Have you seen these mac and cheese boxes?
Yeah.
Have you seen that meme?
Yeah. So, and I kind of the first thing I actually made on Instagram was arguing this, and I like took it down and was like, nope, that's not the way that we should go. But there's an argument to be made for this that there's I've been having some talks with people recently, and I understand that the kind of industry insiders are trying to make a decision on how they're going to handle the mass. It sounds like everyone at SHOT Show got on the same page, and they're
Right.
trying as an industry to push one message. They're just unsure if they should push mass non-compliance, like peaceful mass non-compliance, or if we should push mass compliance in almost comical way.
Right.
Because ultimately this is probably going to get crushed in the court system. Like,
Right.
if we're being
Hopefully.
honest, it'll probably get crushed in the court system. It could not, which I don't know what that would look like exactly. But if you had mass compliance, it would be comical. So supposedly there's 16 people that handle all this paperwork.
Right.
And if they got 40 million requests, like they processed 2.5. Last year they averaged 2.34 million processed in a year.
Uh-huh.
There's no way they can handle 40 million pieces of this paper, because even if you're one person, because I heard an estimate that's 10 million people with 40 million braces, it's still 40 million pieces of paper. And that's ignoring anybody that tries to file one that they didn't know was a short barreled rifle. And it ignores anybody that bought a lower in the last. If you buy a lower now, you can file that as an SBR for free. So go buy lowers, go buy lowers. They haven't published this yet. So everybody could just send in like 10 of these things and they would get 400 million. And then what do they do? Like, if global warming's real, then no one would be around when the paperwork was done.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting that you brought that up about what the message from the industry was. And I did see some reconciling from some of these people who report on SHOT Show.
Yeah.
I really wanted to go this year. I'm making plans to go next year. I never thought that I would be able to go, and then I actually turned down like 2 or 3 opportunities to go this year.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm going to do everything I can to go next year. I think it just sounds like a great time. Like, those are my people there. I need to be there.
I've heard it's good. I also haven't been. I was trying to go this year and it didn't work out. But
okay, well, let's go next year. We're gonna get everybody there next year. We're gonna have to open up some more halls. Okay, and how does he get his exemptions? Just a one-liner? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So many people buying ARs, pistols, pandemics. Yeah, we had a lot of builders. There was a lot of people in my comments during the pandemic when we were doing some builds. I won't say a number, but I built more than one pistol during the pandemic and had videos on it. And I was not the only one building pistols.
The last 2 years have changed a lot of people's minds about a lot of things. My gun store is in the country outside of arguably the most liberal place on the East Coast. And I'm not like, they voted 86% Democrat inside the city near me. There's a lot of people from that city that come out to buy guns out in the country from our store, and they walk in and they literally they whisper. They literally walk up to the counter and whisper like, "I would like a gun," and it's like, you don't belong here, do you? Like,
do they know you're here?
Yeah. Do your neighbors know?
And that reminds me of the joke where they say, like, what's the difference between a Methodist and a Baptist? And they say the Methodists say hello to each other at the liquor store.
Yeah. It's
that's hilarious.
And I'll be honest too. Like, just since I've been working there, the age gap of people that buy guns, there's a lot of little old ladies coming and buying guns too. It's people. The last couple of years have been rough, and people noticed. Like, I don't think public opinion is on the ATF side with this.
Oh, I kind of did crap on Legos. I'm sorry, Special Agent Noble. No disrespect intended. It was just I loved Legos, but I'm not gonna go build like a Star Wars Lego thing now. I'm gonna come out here and build a new Glock.
Yeah.
Wes, thank you for your service, sir. 11 years in the Army. Well, yeah, they should. I mean,
yeah, but there shouldn't be an exemption.
But that should be an
exemption needed,
right?
If the ATF is going to make this kind of rule, so this is an important thing to address here. This is the like blanket face surface level insanity of this is that there's 2 things on the surface that the ATF is saying they're not going to prosecute. So in their letter, they say that they can't change the law. So they can't get rid of the $200 tax stamp. They're just not going to prosecute you for not paying it. So they're going to overlook not paying the $200 tax stamp and they're going to overlook your manufacturer and possession of the rifle. They could just overlook the SBRs as a whole. They could just say there's no such thing as an SBR anymore. Have fun. Right?
Do you think they asked the IRS about this before they put it out there?
It's probably the same. It's the same people. It's the same people. They probably jump back and
Billy
forth.
and Sally and
yeah. Speaking of, did you see any of the training videos of the IRS agents that they hired? They had them like doing active shooter training videos. They like went viral on the internet. It was atrocious.
Recently?
Yeah, like this year.
Or was it back when they first started talking about it?
I feel like it was this year, but I don't know. Maybe not. I work all the time. Maybe it was longer than that. It was obnoxious.
Yesterday. I don't know.
It was obnoxious.
Here's what I'm talking about. Everyone should get an exemption. That's what we're saying.
If anybody's getting an exemption, it should be like school teachers and principals. They should go through a qualification course and have ARs in the school. Because
spicy take, but I'm for it. So for example, this comes up. My wife is a teacher. This comes up all the time, and I'm in Texas. We have literally every school district around us has the giant sign out in front of it that says, listen, if you come here to do bad things, we shoot back. Like that's what, they say things like that out in front of the schools.
Yeah.
And my wife is not a gun person. Like she doesn't enjoy it. She doesn't want to talk about them or live stream about them or look at them or care what color mine is. She doesn't care. Yeah. She's not against them in any way, but she doesn't want to do anything with it, which is fine. Right. But like, she thinks whenever we say arm the teachers, she's like, I don't want a gun. And I'm like, no one is giving you a gun.
Do you know how many gym teachers are vets?
Oh, I don't know. Is that a stat?
Like, I don't know, but like there's plenty of, all you need is one guy. All you need is one guy, right? Yeah. There's got to be in every school in the country. There's got to be one guy that would go get qualified and have a weapon, or just the resource officer have access to that weapon, and or make it to where law enforcement has a responsibility to act and they can't.
Yeah. So a couple of things. I've seen some posts about this, and I have not seen this myself, but there have been some pictures taken of different groups of dads in Texas that stand out in front of the school and drink coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not allowed, to go into the school, but they can see HL out on the sidewalk. And allegedly there's a rotation, this text message thread where you get on and say, hey, I got Tuesday and Wednesday. And there's dads out front for half the day out there just drinking coffee.
The ultimate solution to this problem is to fix the family unit. You have to fix the family unit. That's where these kids are being produced. We have to kill it at the source. We have to find out what's producing these kids to want to do that kind of evil. But
see, we glossed over the fact that there is a dad who has time to go stay. That's an important equation to this, because not everyone has a dad who can go out front and has the time.
Until we fix whatever it is that we're doing as a society that's creating this, then we have to harden the schools. You have to.
I'm sorry, bearded guy. I'm sorry. Vintage Jeep.
I agree. I agree, sir.
I can't do anything in 90 days. Okay.
If you don't believe in government conspiracy theories, go to the DMV. Like that's all the ATF is way more DMV people.
Okay, he wants to make sure that I did not accuse him of being in California. He wants to make sure it's noted that he was in Alaska.
Noted, sir.
Okay, so all right, big question. So what to do? My position is don't do anything right now. We got to hang out. We got to see what's happening. I wanted to say this a couple different times, but it didn't come up. There's people who are saying this is going to be obliterated by the courts. I generally have that opinion that in a post-Bruin world, we're probably in a good spot with the courts. But I also have heard this as well. The Supreme Court is very conservative, and they might be too conservative to be willing to do something that's going to get rid of the NFA. And
who's the conservative king, right? Ronald Reagan is the man. Ronald Reagan is the conservative king.
And
Ronald Reagan took machine guns away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, there's a case to be made that the Supreme Court, while it seems like they're all going to be on our side because they're allegedly conservatives, they could be too conservative to let this go. They don't want to just see the NFA just fall away, which is what would happen if these things go any further. So, David, right now, I'll let Tackett say what he wants to say, but right now I'm saying we got to wait. The other part about this is like the 120 days or whatever. Did that start ticking yet? Is it in the register yet? I don't think it is. So we haven't started ticking on 120. But what if you wait for 119 days? Are they guaranteeing 24-hour turnaround here?
If at any point in this, and I'm probably not the best guy to answer because I don't totally understand the internal workings of how this stuff goes through the ATF, but if at any point you get denial, they're saying that they're going to automatically enforce. So
that's what I heard them say from that SHOT Show interview from that GOA attorney.
Yep, and I have no reason to doubt GOA. Like
I mean, what else are they going to do? I mean, they're not going to just let you
exactly
do that.
And that's the kind of comical part of this. Again, like they have a legal act, like they have to act. They're mandated by law to enforce it, but they're just choosing not to enforce some parts of it.
So Stephen Hickson is one of our 8.6 Blackout Brotherhood. Are you familiar with that caliber?
Yeah.
We do a lot.
I actually just found out about it the other day. I've been reading up on it.
So I got mine in June. I've been reloading for however long that is. Waiting on my suppressor for it. I've got an 8-inch, a 16-inch, and I'm in the works with a 10-inch bolt gun coming soon. But I'm holding off on the 10-inch bolt gun because I don't know how I'm going to build it yet. So kind of destroyed some of my 8.6 Blackout dreams, but I'm a big fan of the caliber. We do a lot of videos on that. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, I've got some plugs in my forward assisters. This is the second time in a row people have been asking about side chargers. Side charger gang is strong.
Just buy an AK.
I did see at SHOT Show. Oh gosh, who was it?
Yeah. That's true.
Foxtrot Mike is coming out with an MP5 slappable side charger. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah.
Danny Hayes,
got cool stuff.
You're completely correct, sir. I say that in the shop all the time. They originally just had that little groove cut out of the bolt carrier groove. That's what the groove's for.
Right. So it can kind of ratchet down in there.
No, it's like that original groove. You could just reach up with your thumb and put the bolt and battery, but not the best.
Not the best. Okay, let's keep going here. What else do we got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested now. I'm gonna have to look this up. This ADA.
He must know something because he's commented a couple times about it.
Yeah, I mean that's super interesting because that's just, if nothing else, that's like another lawsuit to just throw at it. Like, well, what about all these people?
Right. The ATF has my AR pistol that has an SBA-3 brace and the classified as an SBR and refuses to return it. Yikes.
Yeah. And this is all ignoring the fact that like NICS is not infallible. Your background check once you're up there at the ATF is just the NICS background check. Like there's not anything special going on here. Like you're just going through multiple NICS checks. So NICS makes errors, and the percentage of errors, I don't remember the breakdown of it, but it was an overwhelming amount of people that just statistically would get denied and get enforced on, even though they were following the law and did everything they were supposed to, just because of the computer system. So
yeah. Oh, we got an 80% question. I'm here for it. How many of those do you think are 80%? What if they know it's going to be beat in court and your 80%ers don't exist, and you certainly cannot file any paperwork with it. So if you walk in and try to file a Form 1 and it doesn't have a serial number on it, you're not filling out any paperwork.
Yeah.
So
that's 80% lowers. It's a cool idea, but
I like
you're playing with fire.
This guy starts out, you lower 48 people. I like the way that starts out. You lower 48 people.
Yeah, I want a 458 SOCOM too. I don't make that much money.
The mac and cheese thing. Okay, so the crap. Okay, so this is a big thing in the 3D print community, which I kind of dabble in some 3D printed stuff. The Mac and the Gun Collective. You guys have to go watch that. There's kind of a lot to that. It's kind of interesting though. There's still people bringing their braces openly to gun ranges. So
I don't know.
Right now you can until that gets filed, but I don't know. I'm scared about putting them in videos, honestly. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it puts me in a sticky position.
Yeah.
you know, I produce content with this stuff all day, and I'm not the only guy that does that. Like,
Yeah, go follow Mad Minute Tacticians on Instagram. He's got really cool videos and he's got tons of full auto things going off. It's a good ride.
I appreciate
Good
that
stuff. Yeah.
It's leaving the fire department and taking that job. I haven't looked back. It's a good job, man.
Oh
I
yeah,
enjoy
you're
it.
having a good time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't see the whole comment, but it sounds right.
So there's some foreign part issues on those. I don't want to. I don't know enough to say anything about those. All imported subguns like AR-9, CZ Scorpions need to be turned in and destroyed.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
You could put a 16-inch barrel on them, but that's dumb. Who wants a KRS Vector with a rifle barrel on it, you know?
With a broomstick on the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those. Okay, I must be pretty far behind here.
Yeah. Oh, so this is a good point. So January 31st, there's a ATF like live briefing. I don't know if that's for all FFLs or that's like my like area of FFLs, but that's my date. So I'll be on with the ATF January 31st on like a live stream thing, and we'll get to ask questions and kind of get more clarity on this. So we can do an update.
So that's next week.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would absolutely love to have you back on.
Yeah, because that'll be good because it's just straight to FFLs. It's not going to be even like your even the lawyers and stuff. They're not. I don't think they're going to have access to that. It's just us. So
no retreat. We know where he's going with this.
Yeah. And for the sake of argument here, to kind of like, since we're slowly moving towards the end of this, like for the sake of argument, this is not a question about whether or not you should comply or should not comply. The question is, even if you comply, have you complied enough?
Right.
That's the question, because at any point they can just change their mind again. So if you don't destroy it or turn it in, you're playing with fire. You're playing with fire like you are with 80% lowers. It's the same game.
So on that note, why don't we talk about this constructive intent?
Yeah. Okay.
Because I mean, we kind of talked a little bit, but the premise that I put out there this morning was it's January 2024 and we lost the court case, and I have a 8-inch barrel in a drawer over here or back there. Yeah. Right. And it's not assembled in a legal way. And it turns out that there is no legal way for me to assemble that, because we've determined, can you guys see over here? We've determined that just the buffer tube actually violates this.
Yeah, we didn't. I guess we should probably address that really quickly too. So
yeah, that's a big deal.
Before we get into the intent part, because I'll touch on the brace versus buttstock part with intent too.
Yeah.
The way that the ATF wrote this is that any surface area to the rear of the weapon that could be used as a buttstock, that could be shouldered in any way to brace the firearm, is a buttstock. And they very intentionally do not explain in any detail what surface area means. So by that definition, your buttstock or your buffer tube is going to fall into that.
On purpose.
On purpose.
It's crosshairs AR-15.
It's what it feels like, because there's not that puts you at a position where completely ignoring the fact that taking the brace off is still going to fall within constructive intent. Even if you took the brace off, destroyed it, melted it on a fire, the buffer tube itself, which is just a part of the manual function of the gun, it couldn't exist without it, makes it a short-barreled rifle. And the question then is for like CZs and AKs and stuff like that, where you can completely remove the buttstock, the rear of that weapon is far larger than a buffer tube. So if a buffer tube is small enough, then is the back of those, does that fall within surface area? Because that's the size of a buttstock, right? So if the back of an MP5 is okay, then the back of my buttstock is okay, and we're back to zero, right? So
exactly,
it's so intentionally gray that it just seems like they just punted the ball. They just said the courts will figure it out.
No, really, they did.
Yeah, also true.
They rushed through this and they said, "Yep."
Yeah, and it's a
digital database.
It's also true. It's also true. And think about who owns 10.5-inch guns, right? It's not your grandpa's. It's your Global War on Terror guys. We liked what we had, and we liked what all the Green Berets and SEALs were running around with. They all had 10-inch guns. We all got out of the military and wanted them. And the same time that we got out, the 94 bill expired, right? That ran out in 2004. So we all went into the military as kids, came out of the military, and the gun stores were full of the guns we wanted.
Right.
So you're looking at guys where ownership of 1 is a minimum of 10 years. Ownership of 2 is a minimum of 25 years. And I don't know anybody that doesn't own one. Nope, I don't know anybody. So
one,
Yeah.
you don't know anyone who owns 2 either. They
Yeah.
have more than 1
Yeah.
or 2.
My friend group is what it is, man. Everybody's got nods, and
Love it. I wish I were closer to you.
yeah.
12
Come on
inch.
out, man.
So here's the thing. Like, right now, I probably wouldn't buy a 12 inch anything.
Yeah. Oh, we got to cover the constructive intent part.
Mm-hmm.
So the easiest way to explain that is if you were to order a 10.5-inch upper receiver off of the internet, like an assembled upper receiver, to your house, and you already had bought a 16-inch FN AR-15 from your local gun store, the possession of that upper receiver with the possession of the lower receiver that could accept that upper receiver is constructive intent. That alone is enough for you to own a short-barreled rifle, and you've violated the NFA in the exact same way. You've manufactured without consent to manufacture.
Because those 2 pins are interchangeable.
Yep.
Just 2 pins.
Yep. So that's an issue too. Like if you don't have one, so that usually the way I explain this to people is all you have to do is tax stamp 1 lower, and then all of the uppers you own can go to that lower.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're free to make your own decisions as a consenting adult, what you do with your life. But if you own a 10.5-inch upper and you don't have a registered lower, you're in violation, period.
So the person that I first heard about this from said the best way is to leave them assembled in a legal manner and not leave them strewn about in a parts collective, because if they sort it out, they're going to sort it out in court, and you're going to be held for 6 months while we're waiting on this. So
I would follow the law as it stands, and I would do what they're saying to do. It's just the whole point of me saying anything on Instagram, and the whole point of being on here, is not to fear monger and get everyone afraid that the government's coming after you. It's to explain this to people.
Right.
People need to just understand, like, if you make the decision to file your stuff, just understand what you're doing.
Right.
So,
okay. So can you sell it, or is it too late?
I guess in theory you could sell it right now, because this hasn't gone
because it hasn't hit the register yet.
Yeah. So in theory, yeah, but I don't know any gun stores that's going to touch them. I'm not taking them. I can't. What do I do with it once I have it? Right. So
you'd have to already have a buyer lined up.
Yeah. So it's actually we talked about the Form 3 earlier, but that's where you fall into the Form 3 issue. Like after this goes in the public registrar, you can't sell it. You're stuck with it. You're stuck with it until the ATF decides that you can own it or not. So the second they publish it, you're a felon until they tell you that you're not, and that's the opposite of how our legal system works. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, I mean, if you're already a felon, might as well be a little more comfortable.
Yeah,
they did. Scorpions.
They did say that if you jump on the bandwagon right now and put a buttstock on your stuff, that they're going to come after you about it. So,
do they still count?
Be consenting adults.
Yeah, consenting adults. 12 inches and 8 inches, and it's all just 8 inch. 8 inch is too much. Okay. Where are we at here? Okay. I think I made it to the bottom of the chat, bottom of the chat here. The PSA pistol tube. So I actually was looking through some of those emails just in the last 24 hours. And they're going to be moving those. They are going to be a fire sale on the short stuff.
Yeah, and sure. Okay, so let's remember some things about how the ATF does business. Okay, so the ATF, being a part of the federal swamp, will lean on other agencies within that federal swamp to get information. Right. If you remember the 80% lowers, when those went illegal, the ATF pulled the USPS records of shipping from that company. They had full access to everybody that had bought anything from the website. What I don't think that they had access to what you bought, but they they knew that something from that website sent to you. So they put you on a list. There's no doubt that they didn't. And that's a weird crossover between agencies, isn't it? They were able to seize, like, I guess it's public record, but they were able to seize that without a warrant or anything. That
interesting. Shouldn't happen. Is this true, Leo?
Oh yeah,
The
hundred
ATF
percent,
came because he
hundred
bought
percent,
3.
100%.
They said my pistol was not affected by the brace rule yet because it. Well,
If you buy more
I'm
than
not.
one handgun in a 5-day period, I have 24 hours to send a form to the ATF reporting you and those handguns with serial numbers. I have to immediately report that to the ATF.
You know, I think about that when I look at some of the PSA deals because I really want to pop on one of those PSA AKs and they sell them with the dagger
Yeah.
and
No,
they're so cheap and
no,
I'm like,
that's
if I buy
yeah, that's
2,
fine. No, that's fine. You could come into a gun store and buy every single rifle I own. They don't care. You want 2 handguns? They want to know. And they want to know today.
yeah, because nothing good could happen
Yeah.
out of anyone buying a handgun.
Yeah. And you know, what do they do? What do they do with that stuff? Because according to Reagan, they're not allowed to have a digitized record of firearms and owners. Did you know that Reagan did
Allegedly.
that? It's a pretty cool move on Reagan's half. I'll give him that one.
Yeah. The more that we find out about these people, like it's really interesting. I mean, uh, I was of the age where like I was a young conservative and like here's, George Bush and it's like, "Oh, we should be on board with this." But I was like it didn't take me very long and I was like, "What are we doing? This guy is not who you think he is."
You know, it's an
And
interesting thing because if you would have caught me maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I've
yeah.
always considered myself to be a social liberal, like a fiscal conservative, right? And I'm always going to
Uh-huh.
vote Republican because of gun rights. But all your social stuff, I consider myself a liberal. I genuinely believe in letting people be alone and you should find love and enjoy your life the way that you want to.
Yeah.
I didn't change any of my opinions. And in a 2-year period, I am now just scum. And I don't know what happened, man. The wave of politics that ran through the country during COVID, it ushered in a new thing to the
Not good
country.
enough. It's not good enough to be
Uh-uh.
just.
It's not good enough to just say like I don't like what you're doing, but I'll leave you alone if you leave me alone. It's not good enough anymore.
So I felt like I was a libertarian for a while. In fact, I think I'm still a registered libertarian, and like I think I even voted libertarian in a presidential election at one point. Not anytime recently, but
Yeah. You're
maybe
one of
10
those
or
guys
15
when I
years
watch the
ago.
numbers roll in, I'm like, what? Why did
Right.
15% go libertarian? Like, what are you doing, guys? Like, get on the team.
Yeah. So right, and so I think the 3-party thing. If we had 4 parties, maybe it could be better. I don't know, but that's a conversation
Oh,
for
yeah.
another
Then
day.
you get
But
into like Italy and stuff where they have like 56.
right,
Which some of that
yeah.
stuff's kind of cool where they do like the polling, like the rotating poll, like
Mhm.
percentages, and like it's really interesting how the rest of the world does their elections and how we do it.
Yeah, but
And the
it's
fact
so
that Florida can turn over their results in like 12 hours, but Maricopa County takes them 12 months. Like it's a county of votes. Like what takes so long?
they're still counting in America.
They hire out the ATF people once a year to count votes in Maricopa County.
They're very good at processing large amounts of information in
Yeah.
a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, some professionals.
the Libertarian Party, I mean, like I follow them on Twitter and stuff like that, and I'm like, every once in a while they say something, but realistically, the libertarians are just out there poking holes and they're not really doing anything.
Yeah,
Um,
it gets into the I can't ever like fully step into any party because there's like these massive holes with all of them. And like the massive hole with libertarian stuff is like you get into that weird like free traveler thing where like I don't need a driver's license and I don't
Well,
like
what's
I'm
that
not a
called?
citizen. I can't
Sovereign citizen. I'm
Yeah.
not into that. I'm out on
So
that.
the problem with that is like you do need a governmental structure, right? Like we do need like roads. It's nice to have schools. Like we do need a government. We just need oversight over our own government. The government is not supposed to have like, do you understand the amount of stuff inside of our government that's classified information? It's absolutely obnoxious. It's just people's regular everyday schedule. It doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Yeah.
They just classify everything because they don't know what to do with it. Like,
Well, you just store it next to your Corvette is where you just keep it.
yeah, and ultimately at the end of the day, I had a top secret security clearance when I was in the military. Who am I? Like, they just give security clearances out to everybody. Like,
Hey, we've got a super chat from Turbo Laz. True or false, taking the brace off makes no difference. It's
True.
unclear.
Yeah, I'll say true.
It makes no difference.
It makes no difference for a couple of reasons. It makes no difference because the surface area of the buffer tube may be considered a stock, and it makes no difference because your possession of it, even off of the gun, is constructive intent. So it makes no difference. times 2.
True. Yeah, I didn't mean to talk about politics, guys. I think in general, probably most of us are within a good percentage of each other.
I
and
try hard to avoid it.
Yeah, and that's fine. I think it has a place, but it just makes people angry, and now this gun stuff is making people angry, and it's frustrating because guns are a source of relaxation and pleasure and enjoyment, and I've got imagery of hunting and sunsets and sunrises.
Yeah.
And I took my little boy hog hunting for the first time like a couple months ago. Like that's what guns mean to me, other than freedom, Second Amendment like rights. Other than those things, like it means a lot to my family. Like it's just, and for this to all just be under attack for to appease a voter base is just
there hasn't been like a public out, like there hasn't been something to like motivate this, like the Vegas shooting. That was a great motivator, like there was something that highlighted an issue. There wasn't really a motivator for this. This is just, they've been working towards it.
Yeah.
I agree. It is part of the weapons operation. You can't, that's where the conspiracy theory that it's just a crosshair on ARs comes from. It's kind of a crosshair on everything semi-auto that, that's under that imaginary number.
So that's why, Johnny, that's why I said it's unclear, because we don't know if, I can tell you based on what I've read, like the one over here that's off on the side over here, that one has the adjustable indentations on the bottom so that it can fit in the different positions. That one in particular, probably not okay, because you could easily just put a new one on. In fact, I think there's some verbiage in there about how that has to be adapted or filed off or something.
Yeah, now, there is, and I couldn't quote it, but it's there.
Yeah. So, but that is in there. So from this perspective, taking it off makes no difference. This gun would still be no good. I have another one that just has the tube with a foam cheek rest on it. And I actually don't mind just setting it on my cheek. It's not that big of a deal. I don't have to put it against my shoulder. It's real short. It's 9mm. Put it on my cheek. Got a great view.
Well, your 9mm probably recoils harder than 5.56 does. So
yeah, it's no big deal. It's no big deal at all. I wouldn't mind just having a little pad back there, or just wouldn't be the end of the world to just have it on there. But to answer your question, it realistically, it makes no difference, because we don't know if that 50-cent piece size back there is enough surface area to be shouldered.
It's worth saying, like, even if they say that it's good now, they can just change their mind.
They could change their mind. Mm-hmm.
And once the registry is done and they've done everybody's paperwork and they know where they all are, then they can change their mind.
No, I agree with you, John Jay, but you have to realize this too. Some of the pistol braces are designed to fit on the ones that are smooth. So they don't all have to go onto the adjustable ones. Some of them are designed to clamp onto just the round pistol tubes and brace up. So if you own that and you own that constructive, you're done, provided they show up at your house and this doesn't get struck down and all of those things.
So this is another thing that I forgot to bring up. So the way that it's phrased, you're getting into the conspiracy theory on it here. You're stabilizing the weapon. So
are you saying the push-pull of
you're stabilizing the weapon, and it's making contact with your back and your shoulder. And like, if you were a good lawyer, you could make that argument, like the argument kind of exists in the grayness of it. Just like the pistol mounted RMR, like that argument exists in the grayness of this. Which is wild if they came after pistols that could receive RMRs.
Right, exactly. Reading the rule, you can't just take off the brace of your gun and call it good. You have to modify it. Yeah. So that's correct. He's correct. The ATF said the buffer spring, if it has if the buffer tube, if it has a spring in it and it's essential to the operation, it's okay. Unless it has, you're only partially correct here, because if it has the adjustable parts on it, you would have to file those off or modify it in a way, just like we said up here.
But also just let's just think into the future of the smartassery of the gun industry. My first immediate thought was like, well, just smash the end of the buffer tube and give me a buttstock. Right. So like
Right.
the
Yeah.
first thing that like Strike Industries is going to produce is a buffer tube that's like just flared out at the end.
Right. No, exactly.
like,
it's essential to the operation.
Yeah, it
I've
might
also
be cool
seen
now, but
the 3D printed people have also already jumped on the surface area, and there's one that looks like a spider web.
yeah,
That the surface area is nothing, but
and
it's like
decorative.
Right, the size of it is just a piece of like a small pancake,
Yeah.
and it's like kind of oblong, and it would
Yeah.
fit perfectly on your shoulder.
And that goes back to all the stuff with like where when they let braces out onto the market, they just could not decide what you could do with them. And then at one point, I think maybe potentially still, if you modify the shape of it, like people like to take those SB ABA3s and roll the insides in and then wrap the thing. Like if you do that, you made a buttstock. So like if your pistol brace looks like that, you're already in violation of this. Just FYI, if people didn't know that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who take the Velcro off.
Yeah, and if you like put tape on it, like the SIG MPXs where the buttstock spins, if you tape that in place, it's not a pistol brace anymore. You modified it to make it a buttstock.
Man,
it's the whole
I'm
thing.
having a good time with you, but this is a major bummer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's honestly, I'm not looking at it as a bummer. And I hope that like the more information we can put out there, I hope that more people kind of look at this as a positive thing, because it's going to bring a lot of light onto this. And if you go all the way back to 1934, the kind of verbiage that they used to justify all this stuff is that this stuff wasn't in common usage. So ultimately, if the Supreme Court could just argue that, common use. We got 100 million tax stamp requests in, that must prove common usage. Right. And then if you're getting that many for short barreled rifles, then you would look at the amount of suppressor paperwork that they've gotten over 100 years and say, well, okay, this is also in common usage. So you wouldn't have to abolish the NFA as a whole. The NFA would still ban like machine guns and destructive devices, but it would just release suppressors and short barreled rifles under the common usage verbiage. So there's actually potential for this to go really well.
Yeah. And that would be lovely. That would be lovely. Okay, Andrew, I haven't seen you comment before, so I think you maybe just joined us. This won't work. I
mean, it could if you put it on the gun, but then
if you own the barrel, still,
yeah.
I mean,
but it's also just I bought a Daniel Defense Mark 18 because I wanted a Daniel Defense Mark 18. If I put a 16-inch barrel on it, it's not that now.
It's just an AR-15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a dumb short rail that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, with so much barrel sticking out here.
I kind of want to do it now just for shits and giggles. I want to do a pistol linked gas system with a hard front like sight post gas block on it and just a tiny little rail on the front with like a 16-inch barrel or a 20-inch barrel at the front of it. That would be hilarious looking.
So a pistol length, I wonder how that would cycle.
I don't know. It would cycle hard, but it would cycle real hard.
With a 20-inch barrel, and you got that real front A2 sight on the front of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, gas block sights.
You put a Geisley H3, one of their braided buffer springs, you'd be good to go. It would take.
I've never tried those braided ones before. That's interesting.
I get Diamondback as a company is infamous for doing that. They have like 16-inch guns with pistol length gas systems on them. Blows my mind.
Oh, interesting. And I've seen some handguards that have the slots for the A2 to slide all the way down. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see. What else do we have here? A couple last things here. There's going to be some innovation in the bullpup for sure.
Yeah, if this goes this way, the bullpup market's going to go wild because now that's your best like truck gun CQB option is a bullpup. But manual of arms, get a double feed and a bullpup and solve that thing real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not as cool as what we got, but if it ends up that way, Paul, we're not really here to give like legal advice on this, but
it depends on who that ATF officer is.
There's a case to be made that it could be just possession of it may not be a good thing. I'm not an expert. We're not here to say those things. It's just we're just kind of discussing what could potentially happen. So, Well, Johnny's saying no, Paul, but I wouldn't like. I wouldn't for I don't know. I'm not saying I wouldn't because I'm trying to be like ultra safe here. I'm just not advising you on what to do, Paul.
Yeah, I would just say that they've muddied the waters to the point that who knows.
Yes. Yeah.
I want the point of this video to be, we don't know.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Because all I did the day that I read all this stuff was I went to the owner, because he's the one that's done this stuff for well over a decade now, and we talked for an hour, and he explained all this stuff to me from his point of view, and it was like, man, there isn't anybody that can possess these and truly be above the risk of prosecution. That's what we're talking about, is to be above the risk of prosecution. If the ATF sticks to their word, then you're good to go, and this will be it'll be a smooth transition into a gun registry. But
yeah. Yeah. So do you know the Rusty Shackelford joke, don't you?
No, not tracking.
Do you know Rusty Shackelford's like a fake name from oh my gosh, what the heck show is that? It's a cartoon with the propane and propane accessories. What is that cartoon?
Oh God. It's Hank Hill.
Yes.
King of the Hill.
So, King of the Hill. So Rusty is when the character goes to this meeting and there's an ATF agent there, and the ATF agent asks him what his name is, and he says Rusty Shackelford.
That's
He's
right.
like, hello, my name is.
What's that character's name? Boomhauer.
Boomhauer.
Yeah, Boomhauer's the man.
Yeah. So
Rusty Boomhauer has a no step on Snick sticker on the back of his truck.
Yes, he 100% does.
Yeah.
And a Bud Light can rattling around the back.
Yeah, he got creative with garden gnomes, shotgun trip flares, and some tannerite. That's what Boomhauer did.
Yes. Yeah, so Rusty says that he's reporting that foreign pistols that would have to be destroyed in the new rule. So
what are we defining as foreign then?
Like foreign parts kits and stuff like that on some of those CZ stuff.
Yeah, and I guess like you can get like parts kits like FALs and stuff too, right?
Right. Yeah. And AUGs and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, King of the Hill, they're hitting me up here. Yeah,
it sounds great. Okay.
It was the ATF final rule is about like a Rolling Stones final tour. let's hope so. Yeah.
The thing that's cracking me up about this is that GOA video where he said like he went and talked to the ATF and like the field agents were just unprepared, and that is exactly what I would expect if you like.
I'm surprised they showed up to work that morning.
Yeah, but like they weren't like out at a coffee shop, you know. They were at SHOT Show. They had to know that question was coming. Like that's where I'm saying again. Like I don't think any of this is malicious intent. I think that it's just an unfunctional federal agency.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even prepare their people that would be at SHOT Show. Those people should have known this stuff a month ago. You know.
Yeah, they've been working on it for a while. They say. Yeah, that was really telling. And for anyone who's joined us later on, we were talking earlier about how it kind of seems like the industry was kind of torn between putting out a message of non-compliance and / overwhelming. I think that's where overwhelming the system. I think that's kind of something that we're going to need to hang out and see what happens. And then also anyone else who didn't catch the first part of the show, the people who are worried and scared and all that stuff, there's going to be a solution that presents itself here. We're going to have to just see what that is. There
has to be. This affects so many people. A court is going to get involved. So don't put a buttstock on your gun. Don't put that stuff on your social media. Don't antagonize the ATF, because at some point this stuff's going to get solved and they're not going to have anything to do. And if you put that stuff out there,
they're not going to have anything to do. That's a good point. Yeah.
So
Okay, so let's do this. We can kind of close down here a little bit. I would love to hear back from you. Maybe we can have you on in a week or something if you learned something cool in your meeting. I will make sure that links to all of your stuff is posted everywhere. You can find Tackett at Mad Minute Tacticians. Or is Tacticians plural?
Yeah. So
why don't you tell about what the Mad Minute is?
All right, so I'll try to break it down really quickly. So the Mad Minute is a phrase that I learned when I was in the Army, and the name of the game in the Army during the Global War on Terror was, as you got promoted, you had to teach your guys how to survive, how to come back, and that was kind of the general flow of everybody that was in the non-commissioned corps. Was everybody in charge of us is out of their mind. We got to just bring our guys home. So the Mad Minute was this concept of getting your guys prepared for the beginning of a gunfight. So the first initial moment that gunfire comes your direction and you have to respond to it, it just overloads everybody.
Yeah.
And so for me, like the methodology that I approached it with was that as soon as we took fire, everybody's going to open up and put stuff their direction, and then we'll relay information because everybody's going to be overloaded. So the idea behind Mad Minute Tacticians is just teaching people how to operate in those moments of stress. And it doesn't necessarily mean moments of stress inside of an active shooter situation or a situation where you have to use your concealed carry weapon. Working for the fire department exposed me to the idea that, you know, the first responders on car accidents and mass shootings and just general bad things that happen in life, just a chainsaw accident. The first responders are passerbys, people that you know, your family, neighbors. So being able to understand the natural progression that your body will go through when you have that adrenaline dump of a mad minute in your life, you have to be able to think through it clearly as if you were playing chess in that moment. And to be able to do that, you have to kind of pre-plan some of those actions beforehand. So being a Mad Minute Tactician just means that you can play chess while everyone else plays checkers. And I want to make as many Mad Minutes as possible. When you saw Uvalde and working for the fire department and seeing the inner workings of how your first responders operate with mass shootings like that, the truth of the matter is nobody's coming. And if you need medical stuff like a tourniquet or a chest seal, things that are immediate life-saving medical devices, you're not going to get it because law enforcement is worried about finding the threat, and those tourniquets are for them, not you. So being a prepared citizen doesn't just mean carrying a gun. I have future endeavors that I want to just do stop the bleed training with school teachers. Just teach them how to use tourniquets and teach them how to improvise tourniquets and improvise chest seals. Just taping a 99-cent Lay's chip bag on somebody's chest could save their life. You know, that's good information for people to have all the way around. So
yeah, that's amazing. I like the idea of like everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, like that kind of mentality. You know, and you have to actually train through that.
Yeah,
like
it's, you know, if you watch a professional fighter,
you don't want that first punch to be your first. That first punch should not be the first punch that you've ever had.
Yeah, if you watch a professional fighter, you know, he's throwing a punch while he's getting punched in the face. And the idea is that they're so tough that they don't notice. They notice, and it resets their brain just like it resets our brain. It's just their brain is operating off of their monkey brain right now. They literally have no idea what's going on, but they're landing punches still because they practiced it. They had a plan beforehand. So have a plan beforehand.
Yeah.
Just house fires.
Ugh,
your house
is
horrifying made of gasoline. Stuff. Yeah, that's working for the fire department. If you own like IKEA assemble at home furniture, you have filled your house with gasoline.
Kindling.
Yeah. It's not
a reloader,
man. An IKEA like dresser that you put your TV on in the corner of your bedroom, you might as well have a gas can sitting over there. For real. Oh yeah.
They just
think about it. It's sawdust that they press together with glue that's flammable, and then they wrap it in plastic, and that's flammable too. Your evolution of a house fire, it doubles in size. Yeah, a house fire doubles in size every minute. So think about that. How big does it have to be to wake you up, and then how fast is it going to get bigger? Your whole room will go up in fire before you can really react to it. You got to have a plan.
Okay, we need to have a fire drill tonight. Where's my family at? What time is it? Oh
check the batteries in your fire alarms. They save people's lives, man.
I painted
working for the fire service
over
was
mine.
Awesome. Yeah, don't do that either. Yeah, the fire service was one of the best jobs. I mean, you know, military was awesome, fire service was awesome, but it'll at least everything that, you know, bad stuff happens in the military, it's over there. I have a newfound respect for first responders, having worked as one. You know, I never looked at my wife leaving the driveway with the amount of stress that I do now. It's any day, and it's something I say on my channel all the time. Everybody wakes up today, and nobody plans on dying today, but yet there's going to be firefighters and cops all across the country that deal with people that died today, and you should leave the house in a way that you tell your wife and your kids that you love them like you're never coming home every day, because one day you're not, you know? So be a good person every single day.
CNT Design is taking offense to you talking about his monkey brain.
Hey, the monkey brain's the best part, man. I teach like concealed carry classes to like brand new gun owners, and I love talking about the fact that if you get in a concealed carry shooting, you're going to be giving your statement to police with shit in your pants. 100%. You're going to overload and poop your pants. I'll put money on it. So just imagine you just used your firearm for the first time in public at someone who is also using their firearm at you. You know that anything that you say to this law enforcement officer can and will be used against you in a court of law. Used against you in a court of law, and you have poop in your pants. You better have a plan on what you're going to say. If you make the moral decision to carry a gun in your pants, you better have a plan on what you're going to say. And you better have drawn the line in the sand on when you're going to use that gun long before you ever put it in your pants. If you haven't looked in the mirror and made a decision with yourself on why you would take another person's life, don't carry a gun in public. That's how people get in arguments over parking spaces, pull their gun out to tell somebody to leave them alone and end up shot with their own gun, or shooting and killing somebody over a parking space. That wasn't
sad.
That wasn't a good line in the sand.
Yeah, let's not fight over parking spots, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll check back with you here as soon as we can. Fantastic to meet you. Thank you for coming on. Everybody, go hit him up on Instagram. He does have a YouTube, but the Instagram is what he's focusing on. I'll make sure. I think I saw some links coming out here for you. So hopefully some people come join you, and people can come pay you and take classes from you too, right?
Yeah. So the store that I work for, we're a class 3. We're a regular firearm store, but we have our SOT. We've got classes that we're preparing. We also have a digital simulator. We're putting in a flat range back behind our shop. Nice. Honestly, it's a great place to just come hang out during the day, because you can just come play in the digital simulator if nothing else, if it's bad weather or whatever. So it's an awesome store, man. I really enjoy it. And we're going to be producing classes here as soon as we get our range up. That'll just kind of a prepared citizen. You don't have to be anybody that's super in shape. I started the company because I don't like most of your training companies are operators teaching other operators how to operate.
Right.
What about the mom that just wants to carry a pistol? If she has to get in a gunfight in a car parking lot, does she understand the environment she's in? Just little heads up on things to expect, like poop in your pants. You should expect that. It's going to happen.
That's one. I haven't considered that before. It must be North Texas v Texan. I don't know what that. I've seen this guy before though. We did not mention this at all at any point in the last hour and a half.
Yeah, I'm glad he commented.
You got to get active. I have a video coming up next week about how to find your people, because a lot of people don't even know who their representatives are. We're gonna talk more about this, because your local and state government are going to be in play here as well, to kind of help with some of this. And so we need to be contacting local and state representatives in addition to our federal representatives.
Yeah, you should be contact your county representatives. If we can have sanctuary counties for all kinds of things. So contact your county people too.
Absolutely we can. We can.
And I think it's worth throwing in there at this too, don't just send letters. Don't just comment like hateful crap on Daniel Defense's website, because Daniel Defense doesn't toe the line all the time with Second Amendment stuff. Actually send thoughtful letters to manufacturers. The manufacturers are in this. They're responsible for this also. They manufactured these. They made millions of dollars off of them. Right. And if now that the water is going to turn bloody, they're just not going to weigh in at all. That's not acceptable.
They're going to run. Right.
These major manufacturers need to start weighing in on politics. If Coca-Cola can weigh in on politics the way that they do, the firearms industry can weigh in on stuff too.
I missed this. I feel like an idiot as a Texan. Of course, that says native Texan. I'm thinking North Texas. NT is used a lot, around where I am. North Texas. I'm sorry, you are correct. Native Texan. It makes total sense. I missed that. I'm sorry, brother. I've seen him here before. He's been on the channel before. And I messed you up, brother. Native Texan represent. I'm sorry. All right. Well, we'll sign off here, and if you want to hang out behind stage here 1 second, and we'll say goodbye to everyone. Thank you guys in the comments. I think I got through most of y'all. And I appreciate you hanging out. I can't see how many people were here. I don't know if we had 10 people or 100 people. I have no idea. But the chat was pretty active over here, so it seems like there was a little bit more than what we normally had. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys next time.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Okay.